It's that time of year again. I know some of you are new, so let me explain. I can't call a top 10 list because, well, I haven't seen all the good movies from 2019. But there are a lot of movies I don't watch because, well, they're bad, so I can't really call a bottom 10 either. So that's where this list comes in. It's the top 10 most pointless, most soulless, most dumbest cash grabs all year I didn't even bother watching. This is the top 10 most pointless movies of 2019. What men want. Not a gender-swapped remake of a lame Mel Gibson movie, ayo. Does anyone even remember what women want? It's not good, I'll tell you that much. I guess it's only fair that this exists? Fair to men, I mean. Now we can both be embarrassed by this concept. Although the men's version still had Mel Gibson, so it has that edge of embarrassment. This movie makes up for it, though, by existing at all. I really don't think there's that much mileage with this gag. Maybe it'd work as like a quick SNL sketch, but even then, one of the lesser seasons of SNL. I mean, I suppose I could be upset at this movie for perpetrating stereotypes of how men and women behave and uncritically reinforcing the unnecessary animosity between them. I wonder how inclusive this curse is. Can it read trans men's minds? Is this power going to inadvertently out her closeted coworkers? You know what? In 15 years, can I remake this again, but about non-binary people? I don't know, mostly I'm upset that someone bothered to drag this idea out of the hell we cast it into in 2000. No, thank you. Okay, popularity plays a part in the movies I pick. If no one knew a movie came out, I can't be that upset. But a goddamn Playmobil movie? Playmobil was already known as a cheap Lego ripoff. Why would you make a movie that's clearly just a ripoff of the Lego movie? You know what? I use this clip every year, but here it is again.
That idea is just the worst.
This is like some Simpsons gag or something. Like, haha, instead of the Lego movie, they're watching the Playmobil movie. Incidentally, over on Twitter, I put the Lego movie in my top 10 movies of the decade. Though I also put Inside Out in the top 10, and that should probably be lower. I keep changing my mind, I'm not qualified to rank movies. My point is, much like Playmobil will never be as good as Lego, this movie will never be as good as the film it's aping. We all know it. Why even bother? I guess the same reason Playmobil ever existed. To make a quick buck off an inferior product. Dora and the Lost City of Gold. Hey, speaking of things that sound like dumb Simpsons gags, a dark, gritty Dora the Explorer reboot. Is this a joke? It kinda seems like a joke. Was it a joke worth making an entire movie out of? It reminds me a bit of Grow Up, Timmy Turner. That seemed kinda interesting and novel, but it was a TV movie. No one was ever going to the theater to pay to see that movie. If this were a TV movie, I'd actually think this was kind of funny. This is ridiculous. This is something no one should spend money on. And I mean audiences and producers. I know sometimes shows or movies get reboots that age up the content a little to better appeal to the kids who grew up with it, but not only is Dora still running, Dora's for babies. Like, the original Invader Zim is still good enough for me to enjoy as an adult, so I can get invested in a more mature version of that. Dora doesn't appeal to anyone over the age of, 3. There is no target audience for this movie. I mean, unless you're going to see it as a joke, which, yeah. Charlie's Angels. Oh, what's that, director of Charlie's Angels? No one went to see your girl power movie? Well, maybe it's because it's based on Charlie's Angels, a show that was only superficially feminist while actually being kinda misogynistic. That was also already rebooted into a movie that was only superficially feminist while actually being kinda misogynistic. And a TV show from 2011, but no one remembers that, so fuck it. Like, regardless of whether or not their attempts at feminism are genuine or not, there's no call for this. Charlie's Angels is played out. Who still cares about this property? If you want to make a girl power spy movie, just make a girl power spy movie. Or at least reboot something that hasn't been rebooted twice in the last 20 years. Give me a Totally Spies movie. Fuck me, I just remembered Totally Spies exists. I think you probably could make a good movie about this, because the idea is broad enough to just be girl spies. But why is it called Charlie's Angels? And why did they get Lana Del Rey to collab with fucking Miley Cyrus? Oh, and Ariana Grande. In her words, thank you, next. Child's Play. So in the late 2000s, early 2010s, for some reason, like, every 70s and 80s horror film got horrible, pointless remakes. And I don't just mean the popular ones like Texas Chainsaw and Halloween. I mean Prom Night, My Bloody Valentine, April Fool's Day, Black Christmas. Who even remembers these movies, let alone their remakes? Basically, the one movie to dodge a remake was Child's Play. So of course we had to ruin that. And the thing is, based on the plot descriptions and trailers, this isn't even a remake of Child's Play. It's about some piece of robot technology going haywire and murdering people. That's not a Child's Play remake, that's a remake of Deadly Friend. Why stray so far from the source material? My guess is someone wrote this as an original script and couldn't sell it, and then went, oh, the studio's looking for a Child's Play remake? Let me change a few names around, and here's your script. On the other hand, maybe they are just that stupid and hold no reverence for the original. Not that Child's Play is some untouchable masterpiece, it's actually kind of mediocre, but it's got an audience. Why would you betray that audience to make something that, at least seemingly, was only changed to appeal to a younger crowd? This is remakes at its very worst. Changing things for the sake of change and cashing in on a dead trend that was never really good. I mean, the only one of those remakes I even thought was as good as the original was Black Christmas, and even that wasn't great. Wait, they remade Black Christmas again? The first remake's barely 10 years old! Okay, slot 6 is now a tie between Child's Play and the new Black Christmas. Trolls 2. I know it's called something else, but I'm calling it Trolls 2. Okay, somehow spots 2, 3, 4, and 5 all go to sequels to movies I already made fun of in these lists. That's so incredibly sad to me. It's like we're so starved for original content, even the bad, unoriginal movies are getting sequels. That really bothers me. Maybe Trolls 2 has more of a right to exist than Trolls, though. Trolls was cashing in on a fad from the 90s. At least Trolls 2 is cashing in on a recent movie. That doesn't make it any less shameful. I mean, what even do I say? Kids liked a really lame movie, so they made a sequel to said really lame movie. I can't even complain that it's a sequel to an unpopular movie like I can with, say, The Nutjob 2. Yes, I'm still bitter about that. I can't even be upset that this movie exists. It sells toys, that's the reason it exists, I guess. But why did they make a Trolls movie in the first place? You know what, it's not worth it. Moving on. Jumanji 2. Remember that kinda lame Robin Williams movie that got remade into an even lamer film starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart? Well, they made a sequel to that remake. I cannot express my confusion at this. Did anyone else see Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle? Was this a popular enough movie to make a sequel to? Has Dwayne Johnson made a single good movie? Okay, Moana was decent. But still, what is the appeal? Yeah, he seems like a cool guy in real life. That doesn't mean he's ever been in a good movie. And why does Kevin Hart even exist? He's just a lamer Chris Tucker. Y'all did Chris Tucker dirty. Everyone complained about how annoying he was, but he was brilliant in Fifth Element. Kevin Hart has never once been brilliant. Danny DeVito's in this movie, basically just for the memes. He'd be better in Detective Pikachu, but okay, DeVito's good. Not good enough for me to care about this movie, though. Secret Life of Pets 2. Remember when the Minions studio made a Toy Story ripoff about dogs? Well, they made a sequel. Wouldn't be a proper most pointless movies of the year list if I didn't take a moment to dunk on Illumination. To be fair, their advertising was less obnoxious than usual, and much more accurate. Don't laugh. Don't worry, I won't. Why would you make this your tagline? It's like you're begging for me to make fun of you. Probably worth noting is that they've replaced Louis C.K. with Patton Oswalt in light of the allegations against C.K. But, I say making Illumination movies is a worse punishment than whatever Louis is getting now. Actually, whatever happened to Louis C.K.? Hold on, let me look. Okay, for the crimes he admitted to, he has been convicted of nothing, paid no money, and even tried to get back into the industry. So, yeah, putting him in Secret Life of Pets 2 would be a worse punishment. In conclusion, fuck Illumination, fuck this dumb Toy Story ripoff sequel, and fuck Louis C.K. Angry Birds 2. So, 2016 was the first year I did the most pointless list, and I picked the Angry Birds movie as the number one most pointless movie. And it is just so sad to me that a sequel to it exists, and that didn't even make the number one spot. At it again, eh, Sony Animation? How did a movie based on an out-of-date mobile app get a sequel? When was the last time you even thought about Angry Birds? Probably when the first movie came out. I suppose the studio that brought us the Emoji Movie has a pretty low bar on quality. I also want to talk about the advertising for this movie because they specifically used the word frenemy. I am so fucking done with frenemies and best fiends. It's so played out. Stop it. Find a new way to imply characters don't like each other, but have to work together towards a common goal. I know it seems like a minuscule nitpick in the face of a sequel to the goddamn Angry Birds movie, but it needed to be said. But since we're on it, stop making Angry Birds movies! Time for some dishonorable mentions. Toy Story 4. I actually saw this movie and it adds nothing to the Toy Story franchise. Like, if your kid likes Toy Story movies, they might be into this, but if you're like me and you have a nostalgic connection to the series, this will do nothing for you. Shaft. So first there was Shaft, and then there was the remake, Shaft, which was also kind of a sequel, and now they're making a sequel to that movie 18 years later, and the sequel is also called Shaft. Stop naming your reboot sequels the same thing as the original. Looking at you, Halloween 2018. Dark Phoenix. Guys, stop. X-Men is over. Logan was the perfect ending. Let it go. It's in Disney's hands now. Ugly Dolls. Another really weird toy line to base a movie on. It's like we've gone back to the 80s where they made cartoons just to sell toys. But, you know, in the 80s, it was creative toys. This is just ugly dolls. MIB International. What? Why? I mean, the poster's got this nice bisexual flag color scheme, and it does star two people I want to fuck, but like, why make another Men in Black movie? Especially one without Will Smith. Okay, maybe this is why. The number one most pointless movie, or movies, of the year, the Disney remakes. All of them. Just all of them. Dumbo has the most right to exist, but it's also probably the one you've already forgotten. Dumbo is from the 40s, so it's both really old and kinda yikes. So, in a bubble, I could see modernizing this. If this were the only Disney remake ever, or at least not part of some wider trend, I'd think nothing of it. I wouldn't like it, but I wouldn't be upset. And if it were the only Disney remake this year, it'd probably rank a little lower, but it's not. We also got Lady and the Tramp, a movie about animated dogs that was never meant to be live action, but they had the foresight to make that a Disney Plus exclusive. Don't even get me started on Disney Plus. Just look up the United States versus Paramount Pictures. But the two most egregious examples are Aladdin and Lion King. I couldn't let just one of these be number one. They're both so terrible. Aladdin, just from the promotional material, has zapped any sort of fun or color from the movie. So much of what worked about Aladdin was Robin Williams and the animation. Both were brilliant and really complemented each other. So let's just get rid of both! I mean, I guess they didn't really have a choice on the Robin Williams thing, unless they just didn't make the movie. And it's clear how appealing these character designs were, since instead of selling toys based on this movie, they sold toys based on the old Aladdin. Good one, Disney. But Lion King is a contender for the most pointless movie of the decade. It's not even live action. It's still animated. I've struggled for a while to explain what I mean by pointless. Usually I'll say something about the least potential to be good, but I've figured out what I really mean. I mean movies that make me go, why? Why does this exist? And nothing makes me go, why? Harder than an almost live-action remake of Lion King, a movie from 1994. These movies aren't even that old. Aladdin's from 93. There's nothing out of date or problematic about these. I saw someone on Twitter, I think it was Todd in the Shadows, say Disney clearly knows these shitty remakes have a short shelf life and are cranking out as many as they can now. But they're inadvertently making their shelf life even shorter by oversaturating the market. I have no idea why there's a market for this in the first place, but there is, apparently. Y'all need to start watching better movies. Boy, everyone has shitty taste except for me. But hey, it's 2020, a new decade. Now we can finally stop making these pointless, soulless cash grabs. Okay, no we can't. But at the very least, can we stop remaking movies that were already remade in the 2000s? No, we can't? Fuck me, I guess.